I believe in expectations management. I want you all to have low bar expectations for what I'm about to say. Look, I really wish that I could not relate to what Pamela is going through right now, to what all of you in Alameda County are going through right now, because nobody should ever go through that. And it's easy for us to focus on what Pamela and her amazing team, many of whom are here today, are going through. It's traumatic, it's unfair, it's fundamentally unjust. And yet, in reality, it is something that the entire county is going through. That every single person who votes and who cares about safety and who's invested in or committed to justice is also going through. This is not just about DA Price. She is a representative of the people. She was chosen through a democratic process. She committed to make big changes. Things like sentencing reform, things like police accountability, things like transparency in how charging decisions are made, things like being more accessible and open to the people of the county that elected her and pay the salaries of her staff. That has never been done before. And before she'd been in office a month, they were already trying to recall her. Now, a less courageous person, a less tenacious person, a less principled person than District Attorney Price would have seen the powers that be lined up against her, would have seen the money and the opportunity and the privilege that awaited her if she started compromising on the promises that she made all to you. But no, not Pamela Price. She has stayed the course. She has done everything in her power to follow through on her promises, and it has not been easy. I want to be clear. People want to blame her for every single crime that's committed in Oakland as though there was never a crime committed before she was the district attorney.
Right.
Nancy. So Nancy, who you all know was the district attorney before Pamela Price, she was the DA when I was in office. And I want to tell you a true story that you all probably remember because you lived through it, which is that in 2020 and in 2021, Oakland had skyrocketing gun violence and murder. Now, it just so happened that in San Francisco during that same time period where I was the district attorney, crime rates were falling by double digits. Violent and nonviolent crime were down by 20%. Everybody in San Francisco wanted to talk about recalls. They wanted to look at videos of people stealing jewelry or cameras or breaking into cars. And we looked across the bay. We looked across the bridge to Oakland, where Nancy O'Malley was the district attorney and where homicide rates had nearly doubled in less than a year and not a whisper about recalls.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, we get the first African-American elected district attorney, we get the first democratically elected district attorney, we get the first person with the courage and the independence to take on corrupt politicians, to take on police impunity, to take on draconian sentences. And before she even finds her office in the building, they're talking about a recall. It's not a coincidence. It's not an accident. This is a playbook that we are seeing across the country. In Florida, where the governor has the power to summarily remove people from office, he has removed 2 elected district attorneys. Just remove them. Does not care what the voters think. And the billionaires who are funding this recall don't care what voters think either. So we need to send them a message. Are we going to do that?
Yeah!
I can't hear you. When you take on systems as deeply failed, as deeply flawed, as deeply corrupt as the criminal legal system in this country, when you're honest and dedicated and unwavering in that commitment the way that DA Price is, when you make big changes, you make powerful enemies. And that's what she's done. Not for her, not for Anton, not for me in San Francisco or my son. She's done it for the people of Alameda County, and it's time that the people of Alameda County stand up and get her back and protect her. I'm going to give the microphone back to Cynthia as long as we have an even better introduction for the speaker that I know we're all most excited to hear about.
Okay, to make this cozy, the way that
Rollington did. The first time that I met our next speaker, I don't know if she remembers this, the first time I met her, I was like 25 years old, which is a long time ago, sadly. And I was invited to go to an icon's house. I was invited to go to the house of Angela Davis for the founding meeting of a group that would end up launching Critical Resistance. It was a historically important organization challenging imprisonment and mass imprisonment. And I was so nervous. I'm like, how in the world do I meet Angela Davis? And it was a potluck, so I picked a bunch of blueberries, literally picked them, and made the blueberry pie. Took one step into Angela Davis's house, which then had white shag carpet in the entryway. Why? Tripped and fell through the air, and blueberry pie went all over. I was like, oh my god. But okay, so in true character of appreciating transformative justice and not punitive thinking, Angela was like, oh, that's okay. Let me get this spray cleaner. I'll help you clean it up. And she got down on her hands and knees with me, and we cleaned up the blueberry pie stain. I was mortified and so humbled and appreciative of the way that she treated me in that embarrassing mistake. And that was just my first taste of actually meeting the person behind the legend, right? There are very few people who can say that they truly were there building a single movement, let alone multiple movements. Movements for racial justice, movement for women's rights, LGBTQIA movements, you name the movement, anti-war movements, you name the movement, Angela Davis has been there, right? And it is no mistake that she is here now helping protect democracy again. All right.
I just told Cindy that I had forgotten about that. But as soon as she described it, well, I am so happy to be able to. I'm so happy to be able to participate in the launching of the campaign against the recall. And I should probably also say something about my relationship to Chesa, to Cindy, and of course to Pamela. Well, Pamela I've known since she was in law school, and I was at her graduation. Yes. Chesa I've known in a sort of sense before he was born, because his mother was a very close friend. And Cindy I met when we were organizing Critical Resistance. And I want to talk a little bit about the relationship of the past to the present and the future. Because I think we often forget when we are involved in these specific campaigns, we forget the larger significance, the larger historical significance. There's a reason why this recall movement has been organized, as it was organized against Chesa in San Francisco. And it has to do with the fact that there is a significant number of people who are afraid to move toward the future. And what we have been witnessing over the last years is the development of a vision of the future that is radical, that is anti-racist, that is anti-hetero-patriarchal, a vision of the future that is a vision of freedom. There are those who are afraid to move in that direction. And I think perhaps the best example of a similar period was the period of slavery and its aftermath, where even people who were enslaved were afraid of something they did not know. And certainly people who were slaveholders and who supported the slavery regime could not imagine what life would be like without that institution. And so today we're also witnessing a time when, on the one hand, we have this phenomenal mass consciousness, collective consciousness of the structural character of racism. And this is why I always like to emphasize that we should not forget the summer of 2020 and the historical conjuncture that those massive demonstrations, the most massive demonstrations ever before in the United States of America. And what I would like to say is that we are still in that conjunction. We're not encouraged to have a historical consciousness in this country. You know, once something is gone, it's assumed to be, once something is gone, it's assumed to be gone. But we are still in that conjuncture, and that conjuncture is about the foundations for a new future. So it does not surprise me that there are those who do not want to see the representatives of that new future remain in positions such as the district attorney of Alameda County or the district attorney of San Francisco. So I think it's really important that we realize that this is not just about one DA who's trying to hold on to her place. It's about history. It's about what is happening in relationship to Palestine. It's about the fact that what we've seen over the last months has been the development of a massive movement all over the world that is finally saying no to Zionism. There are a lot of other aspects of this new future, a future that does not have to rely on institutions of racism and repression. And there are those who want to hold on to them. I could give you a lot of names, but I really don't want to pollute our conversation with those names. You know who I'm talking about. It is so important for all of us to do whatever we can to guarantee that we and those who come after us will have access to that new future. And you know, I'm kind of thinking about, again, in relation to slavery, those who just, those who had a vision of a world without slavery, a vision of freedom, and those who could not possibly imagine black people in any other position than slavery. Things are changing. And, you know, one of the advantages of growing old is that we get to look back and we get to see how much has happened over the last decades. And we also get to be witnesses for those who helped to usher in this moment, but who are no longer with us. And so I feel like one of those people today. Cindy mentioned critical resistance, and that struggle has been about a different way of addressing horror, that we don't have to have a criminal legal system that is based on retribution, that we can figure out, how to create accountability that is not about violence, that is not about racist violence. And this is what Pamela is trying to do. Now, if someone had told me 40 years ago that I would be supporting a district attorney, I would have said, no. You've got that wrong. But times change. And we've been able to witness with both Chesa and Pamela that it is possible to make major changes from that position. And as someone who's lived in Alameda County for, 60 years or so now, I think I've kind of stopped counting, but many decades. I put my trust in Pamela Price. I think we should all be willing to do whatever is necessary to guarantee that those conservative, backward forces who want to push us backwards in history will not win. And that Pamela gets to be at the forefront of those who are moving in a radical, progressive future direction. Thank you.
The first, to my knowledge, the first district attorney who has come back to become DA after being falsely accused and prosecuted for domestic violence because she complained about domestic violence, right? As a young black woman. And she was acquitted by the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. Oh, not by the, she was prosecuted, she was acquitted by the jury and her peers. And a lot of folks don't know that she was also the very first plaintiff in the first lawsuit that alleged sex discrimination and sexual harassment under Title IX. And she is literally the reason that there's protections in the educational setting for women around discrimination and harassment. She has spent her career fighting, and her life, she spent literally her life fighting for justice, and now she's chose to do the heroic thing and bring that momentum into the role of a district attorney. It's an honor to work for her, it's an honor to support her, and I'm going to pass the mic over to Pamela Price.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. This is great. Thank you, Rollington, for having us. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. This is what democracy looks like. Y'all look good, okay? Yeah. I really appreciate this. It's certainly my honor to be the first non-anointed, non-appointed district attorney in 100 years for Alameda County. Thank you. And I got that honor because most of you all worked for us to have that happen. If you didn't work for it, I know you gave money, so thank you. We appreciate all of it. It has been a journey. And as Chesa pointed out, we are all going through this. I know y'all worried about me. I'm okay, right? Because I've been in the fight for a long, 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 long time. I pray for Alameda County because we are in a season of hate and distrust. The MAGA people have come to Alameda County. And that means they are about destroying our democracy. They're about destroying public trust in our public institutions. They are about attacking elections and elected officials. And that's the season that we're in. And it's the whole county. Whether you live in Berkeley, Albany, Union City, Newark, Livermore, Dublin, all around the county, everybody is under attack right now. Because one of the things that I had to do to become district attorney was we had to run a campaign across the whole county. We didn't just walk in Berkeley and Oakland. We walked in Fremont, in Newark, in Union City, even a few days in Pleasanton, even though they wasn't happy about it. So, we still had some folks over there. And so we had to really talk to everybody in this county to be able to take this step forward. And it was a huge step forward. And so I'm really proud of what we've done and what we're doing. And the fact that the battle has come here, that's their problem. Okay? We are ready for them, and we're going to fight back. I stand before you as a child of the movement. And my sister Angela, who I just really appreciate so much that she comes out anytime we ask her to. She doesn't know this, but when I was 13 years old and learning about Black history and learning about the movement, and suddenly this sister with this huge afro was on the run. And I was like this little girl saying, I know she didn't do it and they better not catch her. She was inspiring to me, knowing that there was someone who represented Black excellence, who was a woman of power and authority and purpose. To a little Black girl, that was incredible. So thank you so much for being who you are. Thank you. And Chesa, y'all know he's like, I can call him any time of the day or night, Chesa. What they doing to me now? He takes all those calls and the text messages, and he is there for the fight. And I remember the first time I heard about him, my friend Marga, who's here, I saw Marga somewhere. Marga said, there's a young man running for DA in San Francisco. You need to go check him out. And sure enough, I went to San Francisco and I met this young man, and I knew, like Cynthia knew, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. I don't know if he's going to win or not, but he's brilliant, okay? And sure enough, he put together the campaign. I told him what I could tell him about the process, because we had already run the first time and learned all the lessons and hurdles that we had to learn. And so I shared that with him. I walked for him, I stood with him, and when he won on election night, we were just overjoyed because it was a great night. It was really represented the power of the people in that moment. And to watch the attacks that then came, the backlash. So when we won, I already knew the backlash is coming. And true enough, before I could literally unpack the boxes in my office, the same people that had attacked him in San Francisco came running over here and started yelling and screaming in front of the courthouse. And we were like, you won't even really live here, do you? You know, we saw some folks on Fox News like in February saying, yeah, we got to have a recall. I said, this is crazy. But you elected me to do a job. And it has been my honor and my privilege to do that job. And I will tell you, the way that I have survived has been the people that came into the door with me. Yes, I had to drag Cynthia into the office. She was like, this is crazy. But she came. And she and I have watched many times, like, we've looked at each other in some conversations around some values that we brought that didn't exist in that place before. And we've had to look at each other and say, can you believe this? Like, really? Okay, it's really happening. We'll be all right. And I've had a great team. I want to honor Damaris Evans, who is here, a pioneer in restorative justice and the Racial Justice Act. She has had to do all the Racial Justice Act training in our office and has had to take some bullets, okay? I walked into the room with Damaris, her first Racial Justice Act training. I walked in, nobody was smiling. Not even the people who sometimes smile at me in the hallway. They act like they didn't know me either that day, okay? Everybody was on edge, like, we got to talk about racial justice. Oh my God, in the DA's office. But Damaris just kept smiling. And she got through it, so we trained the whole staff on the Racial Justice Act, which happens to be the law in the state of California. Okay? So it's like, y'all need to know what the law is if you are practicing law in this office in the state of California. We have the most diverse office, district attorney's office in the state of California because of the team that we have put together. And I want to acknowledge somebody who happened to become a superstar in the news last week. Mr. Desmond Iman is over there trying to hide now, okay? Desmond has been doing his job, okay? He has a free speech right, but when he is at work, we have hired 168 people, which is unprecedented, not only for district attorney's offices, but for the county of Alameda. Our probation department is budgeted for 1,000 probation officers, and they only have 500. The county is woefully, full of vacancies, and it affects the services that the people receive. We understood walking in the door that some people were going to need to leave, and that was okay, and some people were going to need to come in, and that's great. One of those people that came in is Miss Geraldine Bernardo. She is doing great things. We just got a grant for $335,000 to do wage theft and labor trafficking, okay? Something that they have not been doing. So we are doing innovative things. My Consumer Justice Bureau has brought in $20 million in settlements in the first year. $20 million. And the average over the previous 5 years was like $4 or $5 million. So our people are working hard, they are dedicated, they are committed to the vision, and because we have been able to open the doors to recruitment, what we have said to people, if you live in Alameda County, if you're from Alameda County, if you got people in Alameda County, but you are working in a DA's office in Marin, or San Francisco, or Sacramento, or San Mateo, San Mateo pays more than us. But a lot of places around the state, what I have said to people is come home. And they are. They're coming home because they care about the people in this county. And that is the mission. When I took office, I said to the folks in there, we're going to have a theme. And the theme of our first year is that it is not enough for us to just keep pulling people out of the river. We have to go upstream and find out why they keep falling in. And that comes from Bishop Desmond Tutu. And we put that on the back of every business card of every lawyer in the office, like it or not. And we put it on their email, like it or not. Change has come to Alameda County. And we wanted to make that clear to everyone inside the office and outside the office. And what Angela says is so clear. There was the summer of 2020. We survived the pandemic. We are in a new age, a new period of time. And there are those who don't. Immediately, we knew when we got elected, there were those who did not want to step forward. They didn't want to see us. They wanted the status quo. So yes, we know that the people who started the recall in February and January, they are the sore losers because they lost, because we defeated the opposition. I'm very proud of that. It took a lot of effort of a lot of the people in this room who walked and talked. We gathered our community together to make a difference. And we have to do that again. Because unfortunately, Coretta Scott King said every generation has to fight for freedom. And we continue to be that generation. And we continue to be the people who are under attack because, as Angela says, there are people who don't want to move forward, who are scared. Even in the black community, there are people who are scared.
That's right.
But when I see them, I think about when Nelson Mandela had to stand up against Buthelezi. I ain't forgot that. There were people in South Africa that were like, oh no, I did good under apartheid. Let's hold on to this. Because they were scared to move forward. But the people had to move forward. We've done that. And we have to do that again. And we have to gather the folks. Yes, they spent $3 million to get these signatures. They say they're going to spend they say that they're going to spend $5 million. That means I'm going to be on television, I'm going to be on ads, I'm going to be on signs. It's going to be ridiculous, right? I'm not looking forward to that. Trust me, I'm not looking forward to that. But I said, when I ran in 2022, and I realized that we had gained enough momentum and knowledge and power that we could take this seat. And I understood in my vision of it, my worst vision of it, was that I was diving into a deep, dark well. I had this image that I was diving into this deep, dark well. And the deeper I got, the darker it got. And I understood that going into the Alameda County DA's office, because trust me, I never thought I would be a DA. Never. If you had said to me 40 years ago, you're going to be a DA, I'd be like, yeah, you crazy. You need something. You need Jesus, okay? I would not have believed it. So I thought about going into this office, the history of this office. I am not unaware of the history and the dark secrets of this office. And for me, that was like diving into a deep, dark well, and it was intimidating. And I had to sit with that to say, I'm going to step forward. And when I did, I saw one light. Then I saw another light. Then I saw another light. And I started seeing lights behind me that were shining in front of me. It was all of you. You all were the lights that made it possible for me to go into this deep, dark place and start to move some things around. And we haven't gotten all there. We found out, we uncovered some stuff. If you haven't heard, for a 30-year period, they did not allow black women and Jewish people to serve on juries in this county. 30 years. We're looking back to cases where people were convicted in 1995, 1985, going all the way up to 2005. That's what justice looked like in Alameda County. And so as we uncover that and open some doors and some rooms, it's like, what's in there? You open the door like, oh, Lord, somebody close. I'm not ready for that right now. Close that door. It can be intimidating. But knowing that the people of Alameda County, that all of you are with me, that you are shining, that you shone enough light for me to survive the first year, that you're continuing to shine bright lights. And that's what it's going to take, not only for us to do the work in the office, but for this county and our community to survive the dark forces that are coming to us. Dark money will be here soon. And we're going to need a lot of lights and people willing to shine their lights in every corner of this county. Not just Berkeley, not just Oakland, not just over here, not just over there, but we have to go to Fremont. We have to go to Union City. We have to go to Newark. We have to go to Dublin and Livermore, and a few of y'all might have to go to Pleasanton. I'll follow you. And I've been to Pleasanton. I spoke at the Pleasanton Rotary, and they actually were very nice to me before the ladies standing outside started screaming and hollering. It was very interesting. So there's a lot of opportunities for us as residents of Alameda County. And I am honored. I became the lawyer that I always wanted to be in Alameda County. If you had told my high school counselor that crazy little kid who was barely making it out of high school was going to be a DA, was going to be a lawyer, was going to go to the Supreme Court, was going to graduate from UC Berkeley and Yale, was going to do anything, she never would have believed it. But there were some people who believed it. I had 3 foster mothers, and I always give them honor: Amy Jenkins, Lorena O'Donnell, and Alice Hare. Because they kept their hands on me, that's right. And they prayed me through. And my dear beloved mother, Mildred Price, who never gave up, who always thought, my daughter's crazy. And Angela, she said, they're going to kill my child, okay? Because my child is crazy. And she is not going to be deterred. And so it was that spirit that allowed me to come through all of that. And that is the spirit that allows me to stand before you today and smile and say thank you and be happy, even in the midst of adversity, even when judges is talking bad about me. Miss Addie, no, the judges are mad at me, y'all. But they don't know. I'm here for a reason. Thank you. I am here for a reason. You all are here for a reason, and it really, really represents our community well, and in fact, it represents our country well. And you know, we have a lot of, we can't forget our history, but we have the vision. Each of you carries the vision. And so let's continue to shine our lights, to fight for the vision, to fight for our democracy, because this is part of a national attack, not just on me, not just on Chesa, not just in Florida, not just in Chicago and St. Louis and Portland, Oregon. It's part of a national effort to take us back and keep us from moving forward. And I stand before you as the miracle child. And I know that good triumphs over evil, that it always has and it always will. So let's make that happen. Thank you.